Welcome to WonderWoman Wednesdays. And ladies, I want to wish you all very happy Durga Puja. Today, we have our first guest from the City of Joy, and her name is Indrani Rudra Chandra. Welcome, Indrani.
Thank you so much, Mandeep. It's a pleasure and an absolute honor to be here, to be a part of the forum, WiP, and to be having this interaction with you. Thank you so much.
You're a difficult lady to catch. You were one of the first ones. You know that I was wanting to have you over as a Wonder Woman for a long time. So let me tell you about Indrani. She is an image consultant and a soft skills trainer. And before that, she was in the specialized banking function of Treasury Advisory in a private sector bank for over a decade. She is a proud mom of 2 teenagers. So Indrani, I'm going to begin with my usual question as to what got you into banking and the Treasury function.
All right. Honestly, Mandeep, it's just been, if I really go back, the very fact that I come from a very typical middle class Indian background where being either an engineer or a doctor was the only option while I was growing up. So way back when I was in class 9th, then I decided that chemistry is not my deal. I want to do economics and do something in that field. Was probably where the whole journey started. One thing led to the other. Did my graduation from Lady Shri Ram in economics honors, Delhi University, went on to do my MBA. And there again, the whole thing got into, I want to stick to finance, even though it was very tough here in terms of finance placements. But I just didn't want to shift to an HR or marketing. There was just something about finance and the numbers that excited me. I wonder why, but it did at that time.
Good.
So, the MBA which I did was very intense. We had to work while we were doing our classes throughout the 2 years. And that's when I got a little exposure into banking, in my internships and also some of the security companies. But I felt that on the knowledge platform, there was something lacking. There was a little more sharpening that I needed to do. And therefore, post my MBA, I got into the specialized course on Treasury and Forex Management. While I was working with the corporate in Calcutta, in fact, that is when my whole journey at Calcutta started. It was way after my entire education thing. My first job was in Calcutta and I've been here since then. Okay. So, so that's how the whole treasury angle to this thing came in. And while I was in this corporate, all these very glamorous bankers would come visiting the corporate. And I was like, wow, I want to be one of those, and well, as luck would have it, I, managed to get in touch with a few people while I was doing my treasury and Forex course. And that's how I got into my treasury role in the bank.
What did you find unique about it, and what did you find was most challenging about being in the Treasury Advisory Group?
I think every moment of it was, there was this adrenaline and there was this, it's a very different feel, there was a different level of energy and excitement, both positive and negative sometimes. The stress. I had colleagues who were telling me from the classrooms from outside that so there was that excitement when you crack a deal or when you miss a deal. So it was very high intensive, but it was great fun. And there was constant update that you had to keep because it was markets, it was global markets. So we had to be on top of the knowledge base. You couldn't just speak anything to the customers. So there was a lot of continuous and constant upgrading yourself on the products, on the markets. So it was a great, phase. It was lovely while it was.
I know. So from a very badass Indrani and, moving to a thing of your own in between, please tell me this, that why can't, this is a curious question I always have. There have been, at least you were a time, I think that there were some women in Treasury, but usually you do not get too many women in this function, or otherwise you can't sustain them in this function for a very long time. And that's always a challenge for HR people. So what is your take on it?
I mean, I had a woman boss when I joined the bank, and we were in the dealing room. I think 80% of us, beautifully dressed, wonderfully. Most of us young. I think many of us were not even married, and in that age bracket. And I am really, and you're right that most of us from that phase are not really with the bank working anywhere, not just with this specific bank, but in any of the other banks either. Uh, I really wonder whether it was specific to the job role, the fact that it needed so much in terms of your energy and your 100% attention span. I'm not sure that was that alone, or the fact that, most of us just moved on to probably giving the family a priority over career. And I think all the others have also been doing something with the other. They have found a second
calling in a different
career. Or yes, so I know somebody who in Hong Kong is owns and runs a bookshop. So it's really interesting and very different. So on that account, yes, I think it's just been a part of the whole journey.
And I think you guys always describe yourself as like a dream team, and and it's just sometimes when those teams go and they drift apart, then everyone kind of happened to go apart in a couple of years' time here and there, and that ends up happening. But how was the transition, Rani, from for a second career, and you chose image consulting, which I would like you to tell our members what is it all about, and soft skills training. I'm sure some of them have heard, but that was a newer thing in India at that time. I mean, there were some people doing it, but tell me about that experience.
So I think it was after I quit the bank, and which was also incidentally at the phase that I had my second child. So this was the time I was very sure I will do something. I also had a very rough sketch that I wanted to teach. The first few times I approached organizations at that stage, it just blew up on my face and it didn't work. But then I saw this ad in the newspaper on image consulting, and I found it to be an interesting concept. And I pursued that. Saying so, being on your own as a freelancer, having your own company or having your own kind of, path to make and look out for, it was exciting and it was challenging at the same time. Having always functioned under the umbrella of a very big brand, the way people would respond to you then was very different from the way I saw things while I, started my journey on my own. But there's been good and bad. There's been amazing learning. I think on a personal level, I've grown a lot, which is I won't have it any other way. So I think that's been wonderful. And so that's mainly it.
The kids were really small at that point in time, and even when you started working, you had your first one when you were there in your first job. So how did you everyone asked you, I don't know why they only ask women, but over the work-life balance bit, and did you have time to pursue other interests and things like that? So did you have this in mind? Did you get any time out for yourself in those days?
Well, I guess the time out at that stage of life was more of, just sneak out 1 hour with friends for coffee, or just go to the parlor without feeling guilty and stuff like that. But on the serious note, while I was doing my image consulting and I was trying to figure out this extremely new concept, I clearly remember locking myself in my room, and telling my staff and my help that, next couple of hours, try not to ask me anything. I have to focus. So it was a lot of, it was tough, but it is a bit of, your own mental challenge that, or a struggle or a discipline that you need to put in place to try and get doing that. Also, people talk about work-life balance. Again, yes, while you're on your own, there's a lot that you can choose and decide on. But I've had experiences where on my own birthday or the birthday of a very close family member, I've been out of station. Because if I given a professional commitment somewhere, I cannot thereafter make an excuse. So unfortunately, when my father-in-law was extremely critical, when my son had fever, now that I think back in the last 10 years, there've been times like that where I've had to put a stone on my heart and say that, I've got to do this. I've got to do this with a smile, with the energy that it needs, because that's what image consulting or even training is about. So you need to be on your feet throughout, even when you've got a bad cold or you're not feeling well, and you need to give it to 100%. So yes, I think you can't get everything. You need to make your choices. And that's where really the work-life balance comes into play.
Indrani, you were a terrific salesperson, and I think even in doing your own thing, that is one thing, your relationship managing and selling. Because most women who start on their own, they get caught on that, and that's where they end up saying that I know my domain expertise, but one thing I cannot do is sell or go to someone. I wish somebody just came to me. So I'm because I remember you as or at least talk about you as a great salesperson. So that was something which I think mustn't be difficult for you. But yes, a brand behind you and a word of mouth, because I do remember watching you on Facebook with some of your early wins on who are the clients and what did they have to say about you. So congratulations, that was a great thing. But would you like to tell our members a little bit about image consulting?
Sure. In fact, on the journey bit that you were talking about, Mandeep, I would really say I got the beginner's luck. I had amazing people who came and told me, okay, this is the work I want you to do. At the time, and I was like, I'm not ready yet. Can you give me some more time?
You were hard on yourself.
There were people who believed in me, Amrit was one of them.
Yes.
He gave me my first few work across the country, not in Calcutta. He's like, Jao, mujhe malum hai, you can do it. And I was like, okay. Let's just see.
Amrit Basu, for all our members who don't know him, Kalyani, his wife is with WiP as well. Amazing guy, yes.
So I've been really lucky from that angle. I even got a couple of one-on-one consulting work while I was still doing my image consulting, that people got to hear. Senior women who work in PSUs came up to me and said that, I need you to do this for me. I have this issue, that issue, and I have to go overseas for some of the, assignments, and I don't know what I should wear, what I should do. I'm not stressed about my presentation. I'm more stressed about what I should look like. So it was amazing. I think I would say that it was beginner's luck to a large extent. So I got lucky there. As far as image consulting is concerned, Mandeep, it's mainly about getting to know your own self, having as much clarity as you can about who you are and what you want out of life. And based on that, projecting the outward image that you portray. I think this is mainly what we try and help people in having better clarity and trying to get them to bring out their best. Sure. So their best features, physically their best features. We as women are extremely harsh on ourselves in terms of, a few pounds here, a few pounds there, my nose is crooked, my hand is flabby, or, we just have so many of these body image issues and other factors. So I think it's the first challenge would be to get over that and move on from there and love yourself and try and just bring out the best in your own self. That's where we package the entire concept.
That's wonderful. You're right. Coming from body image, I know that we end up taking stresses, not just the work, but everything else. In fact, for work, we usually are very experts in our own domain, but everything else which is going around with it, you're still wondering that day, or the kids do, or this one do, you just can't switch it off. So, this is a question I now, because when you are in a second career and otherwise or out of it, you kind of see the whole process, how it was going on when you were there. And you end up asking yourself that do women get stressed more? And people who have a son and a daughter, they end up usually telling me that, my daughter usually takes up more stress, and the guy was so chilled when he was there. So I end up asking people that, do you really think even at work that women end up taking more stress than men?
I think so, and in fact, I've been speaking with a lot of people about this, both men and women. And the women generally have this consensus that, and women can multitask, women have a innate nature of getting into more details, wanting to do it perfect. I think that's where we take on all that stress on ourselves.
Yes.
So, to learn from the other end, I mean, I think we need to try and choose our battles, not try and aim for perfection in everything. So I know for a fact I've been one of those Virgo who's hugely into, everything needs to be perfect. And I would come back from work, and if I would see that the drawing room is messed up, I would just immediately go all over the place. Trying really hard. I think that's been the personal journey of being more calm, accepting, and just letting go of a few things that one can't control. I think
But I
even
think
at
asking
work,
for help. I think asking for help. I really
asking for
realize now.
help, delegating.
Why did I do that? That okay, we had our own helpers and all that, but even asking friends for help. That can you? And I'm seeing two women who were in my life now going through it, and I'm waiting for them to say that. Listen, can you please do this for me? And I'm wondering that, listen, you don't require actually therapy to learn that. And you're so right, because trying to do everything by yourself and not being able to, we learn delegation at work, but at home, we want everything to be perfect, and it gets.
I think women just want to take on more. There is I think it's a societal thing. Our generation, at least, has grown up still in that crux of career bhi chahiye, family bhi dekhna hai. I think our next generation would, and hopefully, as I see, are slightly more sorted. I think the women need to accept that it's absolutely fine if the others in the house are doing things like whatever it might be, cooking, even cleaning around, or anything of that sort.
I usually get a lot of my wisdom, these things from my daughter, saying, you're much more sorted now because you're taking it easy. I never knew how to take it easy otherwise. So I can be. I saw a very cute post by you last month because it was about my birthday and I'm getting, in my mid 40s and things like that. So has life in the way that it has evolved for you? Has your own journey taught you anything about your life mantra?
Absolutely, Mandeep. I think getting closer to 50, one just
not yet close.
I am very close to 50. I think one just, for me personally, the two things that I have decided at a very conscious level, in spite of all that has been in the journey of life, there have been a few negatives that I've held on to. I would not say negatives, but a few regrets, or the fact that, why can't I go back to that kind of a job that I had? Or why am I stuck in a city like Calcutta? Strange. It is a city of joy, but I have never being from a Fauji background, being a child, being a person who's grown up across the country. And I guess also from the finance domain, one always thought that, Bombay or overseas, there are these other places, you see others doing X, Y, Z, and, it just creeps back into you that I wish I was there. I wish I would be doing it. So I think being where I am at this age, also with a lot of help from some people that I seeked out, one of the main changes that I've wanted to make, it's still work in progress, I would say, is acceptance of a lot of things, which the fact that our parents are aging, the fact that there could be I'm sure all of us go through our own bucket list of, things we can't control or we would like to have differently. So acceptance would be the first thing, getting myself into a place of more preparedness for whatever the future might hold. And so I know it might sound a little cliched, a lot of people would be saying this, but to a large extent, meditation, a little spirituality is the new mantra for me personally. I never really consciously thought about all of this. It was always there as something, but I never thought it's something I need to do. Now I think that's one of the main things that I'm really focusing on. Along with that, I think that I've tried to understand the fact that I need to do something new all the time. There was the entire phase of the career work, the proper career. I mean, the first career at banking, even the second phase with the kids growing up, with my image consulting, which I am still doing. But the corporate training component has really drastically reduced. So it's a personal choice in terms of, now I need to slow down, need to do things that I haven't done. I don't think in the last 10, 12 years, I have done anything for my own growth. I mean, there was work. I was doing a lot of stuff around that. But there is so much more. So I've started learning to play the keyboard. I am taking, girls, girls vacations, and there's so much that one can do.
That's true.
I think that's what I'm really focusing on now.
You might have a WiP band, because I have Grace in Goa and I have Shifali who's learning a guitar. You are learning the keyboard. I'm sure, and we do have some dancers anyway.
I'm really bad right now, but I'm trying to.
The good part is everyone's trying to learn something. I have that on my bucket list for a long time, so I have to also get into it. But wonderful. So one final word to all the Women members before you go.
Yes, I think all of us are very fortunate to have, I think, each other on this platform. Thank you so much, Mandeep, for giving us this opportunity. There have been times that I have not been feeling the best, and I just go through a video and it makes me smile. And there's so much that I get to learn from experiences of others. So I think on that note, we need to take this to the next level, and hopefully we shall meet someday.
Yes,
in person.
We should have the girls meet that you were talking about.
Yes,
that was really nice.
Absolutely. That'll be wonderful.
It's been wonderful to have you, Indrani, and sharing your story. We are very keen to have, and nothing better than having it in this week of the Durga Puja. And I really hope to catch up with you next time in Kolkata. And really thank you for sharing everything with us.
Thank you so much. Happy Navratri and happy Durga Puja to everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.